You know all those little quirks your house has? The ones you've just kind of learned to live with? Well, what if they aren't just quirks at all? What if they're actually silent alarms warning you about a huge danger hiding right inside your walls?
All right, let me ask you this. You know that moment, probably in the middle of summer, when the AC kicks on, and for just a split second, the lights kind of dip, like the whole house just took a deep breath? Does that sound at all familiar to you?
Or hey, how about this one? You're just minding your own business, maybe making toast, and click, half the kitchen just goes dark. So you do that little walk of shame to the breaker box, flip a switch, and just cross your fingers that it doesn't happen again in the next 10 minutes.
Look, I need you to understand this. These things are not just little annoyances. They are symptoms, they're warning signs. It's your home's electrical system literally screaming for help, telling you that something is seriously wrong.
So let's dive into that. We're going to talk about those flickering lights and the hidden dangers they point to. Think of this as a diagnosis. We're going to break down the common symptoms of a sick, unsafe electrical system.
It's really incredible what we learn to ignore, isn't it? We already talked about tripping breakers and flickering lights. But what about the other stuff? That faint burning smell you can't quite track down. Or an outlet that's weirdly warm when you unplug something. Or that low, buzzing sound from your electrical panel. These are not things you can just wish away. They are direct evidence that something is overheating, and that is a major fire hazard.
So what's the deal here? What's causing all these problems? A lot of the time, you're dealing with electrical ghosts. I'm talking about outdated, old-school components, especially in homes built back in the 70s and 80s that are just lurking inside your walls. First on the most wanted list is the infamous Federal Pacific panel. Now, circuit breaker has one job, just one, to shut off the power when there's an overload so your house doesn't catch on fire. Well, these panels are notorious for failing to do that one job. Some studies show they can fail to trip up to 60% of the time. So the wires get hotter and hotter and the breaker just sits there, doing nothing. It's a massive, well-documented risk.
Another ghost in the walls is aluminum wiring, which was really common in the 70s. The issue here is just simple physics. When electricity flows, wires heat up. When it stops, they cool down. The problem is, aluminum expands and contracts way more than copper does. So over the decades, all that wiggling loosens the connections at your outlets and switches. And a loose connection creates resistance, which creates intense heat. And heat, well, that's how fires start.
But it's not just about having old parts. No, the actual environment where you live could be launching a slow, steady attack on your electrical system. Let's talk about how the local climate can take a bad situation and make it so much worse.
Think about it. If you live anywhere with high humidity, that moisture is just constantly working its way into your system, corroding connections, rusting out your panel. Or maybe you live somewhere with shifting soil. That can literally bend and break the pipes that protect your main power lines. And of course, there are severe storms. Power surges and lightning strikes are basically a brute force attack that can completely fry your panel in an instant.
So we've got outdated parts and an attack from Mother Nature. Now let's add the final ingredient to this perfect storm: us. Our modern way of life is putting demands on these older homes that they were never, ever built to handle.
Just take a look at this chart. The standard electrical service for a house built in the 70s was 100 amps. Today, the standard is 200 amps. That's double. We are literally trying to pull twice the amount of power through a system that wasn't designed for it. So why are we doing that?
It's because that 100 amp service was designed for a world with maybe one TV, a fridge, and a single window air conditioner. It was not designed for a house with an EV charger, big screen TVs, multiple computers, a full smart home system, and 2 giant AC units running full blast. We're constantly overloading these old systems, and that, right there, is why your breakers keep tripping.
Okay, so I know we've laid out a lot of problems, and it sounds pretty scary. But here's the good news. All of this is solvable. The solution isn't some magic product you buy online. It's a process, and it's guided by a rulebook that's designed for one thing: keeping you safe.
This is the National Electrical Code, or NEC. You can think of it as the official rulebook for electrical safety. It's the bare minimum standard for all electrical work, and it gets updated every few years as technology changes. Following this code is not a suggestion. It is the line that separates a safe, professional job from a deadly fire hazard.
So what does a real fix actually look like? Well, it's a pretty clear, transparent process. First, a licensed electrician diagnoses the root cause, not just the symptom, and gives you upfront pricing. Then they do the actual work using quality materials that meet that NEC rulebook,
And finally, everything is tested. For big jobs, an independent city inspector even comes by to verify that everything was done by the book. It's all about safety and accountability.
So let's bring it all home. These are the critical red flags. If you're experiencing any of these, burning smells, buzzing, hot outlets, constantly tripping breakers, flickering lights, it's time to stop just hoping they go away. And if you know for a fact that you have a Federal Pacific panel or aluminum wiring, you're living with a known hazard, period.
Ultimately, it all comes down to this one question. Your home's electrical system is its central nervous system. It powers your entire modern life. So after everything we've just talked about, can you say with 100% certainty that yours is safe?